We hear the word El Nino and we know that it is going to be the hottest summer possible. But we don't need to be worried about just El Nino now. We need to worry about something bigger, greater in form. That is Super El Nino. Why 2026 is going to be the year of Super El Nino? What is bringing it? And most importantly, what is El Nino and Super El Nino? Hello everyone. Welcome to Vajram and Ravi's Flash News. My name is Shumangi Singh. And in today's session, we will be understanding all of the above mentioned points, that what exactly initiates this, why this is a cause of worry. The moment we hear El Nino, we think the global weather disruptor is here. So, this year has been predicted by the recent studies and NOAA that this is going to be the year that we are going to witness the phenomena of Super El Nino. And this is not going to be just it. This is going to directly impact our global climate change goals. Especially the global weather is going to be reshaped, and this is going to be starting very soon, this very summer. So to understand this, let us begin from scratch and start with understanding that what exactly is El Nino first, and then we will move towards Super El Nino. So when we are talking about El Nino, it is basically warm phase of ENSO. So what is ENSO? When we are talking about ENSO, it is El Nino Southern Oscillation, and it is nothing but a recurring but irregular fluctuating cycle with alternating warming as well as cooling of Pacific Ocean. Which region? Equatorial Pacific Ocean. Now let us try to understand that what is this phase of ENSO, that is the warm phase. Now when we are talking about this warm phase, let us look at this given diagram. You will be able to see that whenever there is a normal weather, and when we are talking about Pacific Ocean, one side is towards Southeast Asia, the Australia side, and the other one is towards South America. In normal times, in the neutral phase, what will happen? The surface temperature around South America would be around 24 degrees Celsius, average 28 degrees Celsius on the Southeast Asian side, and we will see that the thermohaline circulation facilitates the movement of cold deep water upwards on the coast of South America. But when the warm phase comes in, what happens here is that there is increase in temperature of sea surface temperature, and this happens especially on the South American side. Now, because the temperature is increased here, the upwelling of water that was happening, that will not happen. The southeast trade winds which were facilitating rainfall, that will not happen. And this is also going to impact the rainfall across this region. Then this is where we get to see that El Nino, the warm phase, where there is warming of South American coast, the sea surface temperature increases there. It leads to weakening of trade winds, and the warm water which was present initially on Southeast Asian side has moved towards South American side. Now, overall, what will happen here? The sea surface temperature has increased. Yes. Now, this is the trigger point, the onset of global changes that take place. We will be talking about that. What is the frequency of this warm phase coming in, El Nino coming in? The frequency can vary from anywhere between 2 years to 7 years, and this warm phase can last for 9 to 12 months. So this is where we get to see that ocean and atmosphere and their interaction will be responsible for global climate patterns. Now on your end, this shift of the sea surface temperature might seem very small, but it goes to affect the whole global heat distribution system. Now, this is where we move to understand Super El Nino. But when we are talking about El Nino, where we get to see that the difference in temperature between East and West Pacific in terms of sea surface temperature decreases, there is another phase, that is La Nina phase, where we find that Eastern Pacific is much cooler. And this is where we get to see heavy rainfall in Asia. But when we are talking about El Nino phase, it leads to lesser rainfall in Asia. Because this is where the South America, basically the region that's where the rain clouds get pulled up. So whatever we are seeing in El Nino phase is going to be super heightened, exceptionally strong during Super El Nino. And when we are looking at this, why we are saying exceptionally strong? Because this is where the difference in sea surface temperature goes to be above 2 degrees Celsius. Before, when we were looking initially, we had limited difference as compared on the both of the sides, but the anomaly here goes above 2 degrees Celsius. So if we look at the intensity table across the years, we have understood a super El Nino phenomena or strong El Nino phenomena begins when the temperature goes above 1.5 degrees Celsius, and the moment it crosses the point of 2 degrees Celsius, the difference in temperature, that is where it is termed as super El Nino. It is a rare thing, but it has happened in past. 1982 to 83, we have seen in 1997, 98 and 2015-16. So when we are talking about such phases, you will be able to see that there has been concurrence with less rainfall, not specifically just in Asia, but I think you will be able to relate it better with India, because this also impacts the monsoon system in our country. So you don't have to think this as a stronger warming. You have to think about it, how this becomes a multiplier of the global weather disasters which are initiated by El Nino, and they will show stronger effect here. For example, how it can impact you economically. When we are talking about 1982 to 83, there was approximate loss of 35 to 36 billion dollars in terms of economic losses they were reported. So you can clearly understand that how this has impact not just across the weather event, the climate cycles, but also on the countries and their economies. And this is where we will further move to understand that how it is different. It is different in form of intensity. This is where we see stronger interaction between ocean and atmosphere, because there is a stronger heat transfer from ocean to atmosphere. So when South American coast was seeing higher temperature, the temperature goes further up, and this is where rain is pulled in that direction. If the rain is pulled more intensely in that direction, the global impact or the usual cycle gets more impacted. So super El Nino, not formally defined, but we have widely used it, understood it, seen it, not just in climate science, across our countries. And whatever the intensity of super El Nino, it is determined based on disruption. The disruption it is causing as compared to the usual cycle that occurs. Now, I think we have a fair idea that what exactly we are expecting in form of super El Nino. Now, let us move to understand that why are we saying that 2026 is going to be the year of super El Nino. So, a few things have already started to unfold. We can start with looking at this given sea surface temperature anomalies. The first one shows you of Jan 2026 and the second one shows you for March 2026 initial conditions. So if you clearly see that how anomaly is or the temperatures are greater on the South American coast as compared to just 3 months before. This is the region I'm talking about. And the movement when we were experiencing La Nina last year, which was the cooler phase, and the movement towards neutral and then El Nino seems rapid. So the pace is first thing that we have seen. Second are the observation that have made, the rising sea surface temperature, the subsurface heat has started to increase, and most importantly, the how trade winds have already started to weaken. So if the intensity is so high in this given duration, it is expected to multiply in coming times. So the forecasts are already telling that there is a clear 60 to 70% probability that super El Nino will set in by mid 2026, and this is going to be at least a strong event. So 1.5 degrees Celsius, we are expecting it can go very much beyond that as well. And this is where we have to break in the climate change factor. Climate change has already increased the baseline warming. Let's just say initially we were at 0, then the intensity which used to increase during earlier super El Nino events, that was maybe 2, maybe to 3, maybe to 4. But now we are, because of global warming, climate change, we are already sitting at 4. Imagine how difficult it is going to get and what kind of amplification we are going to see in terms of disruption. Another important factor right here that we need to discuss is to understand that how are we saying that Super El Nino is going to impact the global climate. First and foremost, when the humanity, when the communities, when the countries are coming together to keep the temperature below 1.5 degrees Celsius, it is expected if Super El Nino comes in, we are going to breach it. We might breach it and come back, that's another. But that means we will be touching the tipping point, the climate tipping point already. That means there is a possibility of irreversible damage that we have already done to the environment, to Earth. Furthermore, it will show us in form of extreme events. Heat waves, which you can already see, droughts and floods. And furthermore, there will be an extreme rainfall shift where the wet regions might expect to get more rainfall, but drier regions are in for a drier summer this time. Furthermore, cyclone impact is expected, that Atlantic hurricanes might be limited, but Pacific storms might be heightened. Can you tell me in the comment section how they are related to Super El Nino? Let me give you a hint. We just talked about sea surface temperatures. Now, this is where we are expecting changes. But another thing we need to keep in mind, that there's a possibility that this might totally change the regime of climate in itself, and it will redistribute how heat and rainfall works across the globe. So El Nino and Super El Nino in this context, it is not going to create new weather. It is going to intensify the existing extremes which are already present. And unfortunately, we are sitting on a extended extreme in terms of climate tipping point. Now, this is where we should move our discussion straight up towards India, that what impacts we can expect. I've already mentioned very closely linked to monsoon. Monsoon for us means food security. And whenever we have seen El Nino, we have seen reduced rainfall in our country because the trade winds are weakened and we get to see limited rainfall. So in this context, we are up for a rain deficit probably this year, severe heat waves which can be felt already in multiple parts of our country. And this is going to directly affect our food security because the crop yield will decline. Furthermore, regional variation would be heightened. As I mentioned, wetter regions will get more rainfall, dry regions will get drier. So, northeast monsoon. This is the place where we might expect increased rainfall. And as a result, we are in for a food security crisis. We are in for inflation. We are in for extreme rural distress. And also that how climate is going to change. This is also going to show how natural disasters can have a huge impact, which started as a consequence of human existence. So that is why, understandably, this is a huge concern because 60 to 70% of drought situations in India have always been linked to El Nino. And this is not something that we only need to be worried about. The world also needs to think about it because when we are looking at El Nino and Super El Nino, this is going to push the world to very close in terms of breaching 1.5 degrees Celsius limit target we had set in 2015 under Paris Agreement, because what looks like that we were supposedly breaching that target by 2040 based on the current warming rate. But if the warming intensifies in between here, we might be able to touch it rather earlier. And this is going to impact ecosystems, biodiversity, humans, and the food systems directly. So conclusively, Super El Nino cannot be just seen as a weather event. It needs to be seen that how this is going to also be a climate change multiplier, and this puts whole of the globe at a risk. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comment section. That was all from my side. I'll be leaving you here with the prelims practice question. Let me know the answer in the comment section. Thank you so much.